Humans, Mortal, written by Omen224. The nature of this species is that of a god, yes, but also that of a beast. They have the base bodily demands of a beast, the drives and instincts of a beast, and a form built for life as a beast. And yet, they also have the capacity and desire for the lofty, pure ideals of a god, and the will to accomplish it. Yet, in the end, each representative of this species only lives the time granted unto beasts, rather than the countless eons that those present know. The intelligent speaking was addressing a gathering of other intelligences, sharing with them the discovery that they had found. Someone new, and yet a silence hung with those gathered. They had elected to gather physically in a place distant and between the stars. Each one was encased in matter that was fashioned after their own will and preference. One was cased in crystalline carbon. One resided at the core of a dead star. One elected to surround itself with the remains of rogue planets. Each was unique, and yet they all considered the discovery with mixed reactions. One, from further away, housed in an immense cube of densely packed circuitry and biomass, made a query aloud that each of those attending had been silently contemplating. How are we to interact with them? If they are both gods like us and beasts like those found upon occasion on planets, how is it even possible for them to exist? The god who had made the discovery, an intelligence that encased itself in layers of colourful nebulae, answered carefully. It is not easy. With the short time allotted to them by the limits of the beast, they can only do so much. They seem to barely have enough time to realise their existence and celebrate it before it is gone. For certain, they never live the ages necessary to realise the innate capacity of gods to manipulate matter and the forces of the universe at will. And yet, a heavy silence filled the pause. There are many. Like beasts, they have the capacity to reproduce, and their offspring tend to be just as realised as gods, if only in embryo, as their progenitors. And true to the nature of gods, they have the capacity to share their ideas and thoughts between each other. They have found new ways to encode their thoughts with shapes of matter that they may be transmitted to others after the time allotted to beasts passes. With generations of this sharing of thoughts, they build communities that perform great feats and gather immense knowledge. Together, members of this species have collected information and discovered truths about the universe that beings such as we have never even thought to contemplate. They have built structures of community that they have termed civilization. And each of these structures competes as a whole, made up of the many individuals and their shared goals. They use the power that their forms give them to fight and build and discover together, and their feats live on after them, if only for a time. An intelligence housed in a strange matter star spoke up. What a peculiar state of existence! Do they have a word for it? Yes, they call it mortality, and there is something amazing that they have discovered in being in this state. They have discovered an immense capacity for self-determination. They display an immense variety of opinions, choices and developments, and however similar two of their minds become, they are never exactly the same. A silence fell over the intelligences gathered. It was a long-held belief that an intelligence was only ever one way, and that they changed predictably as time passed. Were these Mortals? Somehow different? Was it possible that something about them might yield a new depth of intricacy to the universe? Every intelligence thirsts for such stimulation. Another intelligence spoke up, older than most, wrapped in a concentric crystalline shell calcium deposits. As godlike as they are still beasts, yes? Would they not fear us, as all beasts do? Would they be willing to engage with us, or would they, with the powers granted to them by their numbers and by their godhood, attempt to destroy us in ways that ordinary beasts cannot? That idea gave all gathered pause. While it was difficult, it had happened before. An intelligence would attempt to gather knowledge in a certain way, and the attempt would obliterate them. Each intelligence did not wish to end, if for no other reason than that our existence was deemed more interesting than non-existence. The intelligence encased in nebulae gave affirmation. Indeed, it is possible. With their unending numbers, these mortals discover new things, and new ways to do things, and new uses for things quite often. There were enough of them that this constant rush of new information could one day pose a threat to our continued existence. This is the main reason behind my calling for a gathering without them, rather than simply introducing them as we would with any other new intelligence. Consider also, their very nature is struggle, duality, and constant change. They have the powers of newborn gods wrapped in the forms of beasts, and as such, they are agents of chaos and entropy in a way that neither we nor ordinary matter could even begin to emulate. They not only change themselves, but they spark change in each other and affect changes in the universe and in the beasts around them. It is a fact that, by altering my behaviour and introducing me to new ideas, they have changed me simply by my coming into contact with the knowledge of them. By my sharing that knowledge with all here, they have effected a change in us. Some of us will pursue relations with them despite the risks. In all fairness, it is bound to be stimulating beyond belief. Some of us will shy away from them and seek other knowledge. Perhaps some of us will attempt to destroy them because of the possible threat that they pose. I propose this concept, a concept that they have discovered, that I am very appreciative of. It is called naming. Each takes a concept, collection of sounds or set of symbols to represent them as an individual, to be distinguished from all others. In this way, they may distinguish us and treat us differently according to our individual relationships with them. With the concept laid bare to all gathered, the undercurrents of telepathy explaining more in depth those present contemplated. Thoughts were shared, discussed and evaluated. This took time, but time was something they all had. The stars around them flowed and flew around, and eventually they came to a conclusion. The mortals were to be considered equals, but only for as long as they lived. The intelligence that was wrapped in the calcium shell, who had named themselves after the sound that the two black holes make when they merge, asked one final question to the intelligence wrapped in nebulae, who had elected to name themselves Earl. What have these mortals named themselves as a species? They call themselves humans.